The KOAM Nation indicts its former chairman, John Barry, for alleged embezzlement. We can expect a bout of wintry weather. We'll hear some tips on how to protect your young plants. Former Kansas Governor Collier announces his intention to regain the seat he lost in 2018.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Many of us are ready to settle into spring, but winter is making another appearance. This is KOAM News at 10. We go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, you never want to see winter make an appearance in the second half of April because, of course, all the trees are budded, everybody's put their plants out there, and it can really do damage in a very short amount of time. And we actually have 2 little bouts. We got precip and then we got cold temperatures. First off, this is our winter weather advisory, mainly the northern half of the region, even though I think everybody's going to get snow. And this is for early tomorrow morning as our next storm system really is brewing to our north. We're fine now. But look at the snow building back across Nebraska into northwestern parts of Kansas. And if you haven't been outside in the past couple hours, it's gotten cold. Look at the colder air seeping south. In fact, the front's way down in our southern counties. So we're now in the upper 30s in Iola, 40s, and then 50s. And as we go through the overnight hours, clouds increase. We start to get some showers in here and then eventually heavy, wet snow as we go through the daytime hours. So of course, Dow, we need to talk about how much snow could we get, and then we need to talk about the hard freeze tomorrow night, all coming up in just a bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. Thanks, Doug. 2 former KOAM Nation tribal leaders are indicted, accused of embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other crimes. KOAM's Chris Warner has more.
The KOAM Nation indicted former Chairman John Barry and former Secretary-Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. Authorities say the offenses occurred between April 2014 and July of 2020. Now, under the Tribal Criminal Code, the Quapaw Tribal Court indicted John Barry for embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 4 counts of abuse of office, offense by officers, improper gifts to tribal officials or employees, and theft of services. Tamara Smiley Reeves is facing 8 indictments, including embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of abuse of office, and 2 counts of offense by officers. The indictments come after the Quapaw Nation Gaming Authority requested Innovative Gaming Solutions to conduct an audit last year. They received allegations of improper bonuses paid to tribal leaders and casino executives. According to court documents, the audit was delayed due to the election and was continued afterwards. The court documents go on to say the auditors found salaries and bonuses in the millions without approval from the Quapaw Business Committee. We reached out to the attorney for John Barry, who sent us this response saying they're aware of the criminal complaint and that, quote, Mr. Barry denies all of the complaint's allegations and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. The Quapaw Nation Chairman Joseph Talley-Bird issued this statement saying in part, quote, while I'm saddened at the depths of criminality discovered, the Quapaw Nation is a nation of laws and no one is above them. I'm pleased charges have been filed against these individuals who will now face the consequences of their dishonesty and greed. We have all of the court documents and the full press release from the Quapaw Nation on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. I'm Chris Warner for KOAM News.
Each of the counts against Barry and Smiley Reeves carry the possibility of 3 years in prison and a fine of up to $15,000. Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act, which passed in February, is now getting some national attention. A website called Defy Tyrants interviewed County Commissioner David Osborne about the ordinance and posted the video on YouTube last week. The act is intended to provide for protections against all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations that infringe on Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. The act also provides for the Newton County Sheriff's Office to arrest any federal agents trying to violate the ordinance.
We're one of many counties that have passed those in Missouri. I'd like to get an official count. I'm hoping someone's tracking them, but I've heard is upwards of 20 counties have now passed them. I know McDonald County passed one also. And many states, other states have reached out to us and other counties in other states saying, hey, how do we do the same thing?
The Missouri House passed a similar act in February. It's currently in the Senate. The Joplin City Council tonight voted to move to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. Moving to Phase 3 means the city is lifting restrictions on indoor gatherings. The city already lifted mask mandates and some restrictions on outdoor gatherings. Private businesses might still enforce mask rules and social distancing, but those are not required by the city.
I think that it's one of those things where I just don't think we want to feel like we went too soon, but I think council's starting to feel significantly more confident that the hard work has been done, and now we can become a little bit more accommodating and less restrictive.
Council also approved a proposed project to widen 32nd Street between Schifferdecker Avenue and Central City Road. Former Kansas Governor Jeff Collier has formally launched his campaign to reclaim the office in 2022. In his bid for governor, Collier is portraying himself as the true conservative in the Republican primary. Collier narrowly lost the GOP primary in 2018 as governor to then Secretary of State Chris Kobach before Kobach lost to Democrat Laura Kelly. Collier's launch in Topeka featured U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, who endorsed Collier. The ex-governor endorsed Marshall last year. Oklahoma City marks the somber 26th anniversary of the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building that killed 168 people. Merrick Garland, who supervised the investigation of the Oklahoma City bombing, was the keynote speaker at a special remembrance ceremony today. He's now serving as President Biden's Attorney General. Garland oversaw the prosecution of Timothy McVeigh, who was later executed for the crime. The memorial was built on the site where the federal building once stood. It was later razed and replaced by the memorial and a park with 168 chairs in memory of the victims of the domestic terror attack. Because of the pandemic, the 2021 event was by invitation only, and attendance was limited to family members, survivors, and first responders. Former Vice President and presidential candidate Walter Mondale has died at the age of 93. His family announced he passed away today in Minneapolis. Natalie Brand has more on Mondale's political legacy.
A few minutes ago,
Walter Mondale is often remembered for losing the presidency to Ronald Reagan in 1984. But he also made history by picking Geraldine Ferraro as his running mate, the first woman on a major party presidential ticket.
I think they're looking nervous.
The Republicans.
Well, the White House.
The Minnesota native and lifelong Democrat also left an enduring mark on the vice presidency.
so help me God.
The son of a Methodist preacher, Walter Mondale's political career was marked by early success. He became Attorney General of his home state of Minnesota at 32, and he was elected to the U.S. Senate at 36.
Well, we got meet some folks.
Sure, I'd be delighted.
In 1976, Jimmy Carter tapped Mondale to be his running mate on the Democratic presidential ticket.
And I'm proud and honored to be a part of this team.
After Carter's victory, Mondale immediately beefed up the job of vice president, moving the vice president's office to the West Wing of the White House, and he started having weekly lunches with the president. Both traditions endure to this day. Carter was defeated for re-election in 1980. 4 years later, Mondale sought the top job for himself, but he faced a popular president in Ronald Reagan, who was running for re-election.
Mr. Reagan will raise taxes, and so will I. He won't tell you. I just did.
Mondale suffered one of the biggest electoral defeats in U.S. history.
Ronald Reagan still has a chance for an historic 50-state sweep.
President Reagan beat Mondale in 49 states, leaving Mondale with only the electoral votes from his home state of Minnesota and Washington, D.C. After that defeat, Mondale moved back and forth between public and private sectors. He served as ambassador to Japan under President Clinton. In 2002, he lost his attempt to reclaim his old Minnesota Senate seat, but he was gracious in defeat.
And in what is obviously the end of my last campaign, I want to say to Minnesotans, you always treated me decently. You always listened to me.
That Midwestern humility endeared Mondale to his home state and a generation of his fellow Democrats. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The Mondale family said in a statement plans for memorials will be announced later for both Minnesota and Washington, D.C. Still ahead, a round of springtime winter weather is putting your outdoor plants at risk. We're going to hear some tips on how to protect them. And later, the Frontenac softball team hits the road to take on Girard. Highlights in sports. Despite the recent sunshine, as Doug told us, the coming days won't look so nice. And if you have houseplants or a garden, you might want to prepare them for the weather. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with a master gardener to get some tips to keep your plants safe.
The recent warm weather may soon be taking a turn, with possible snow in tomorrow's forecast. With the possibility of this cold snap, here's what you can do to keep your plants intact. Master gardener Jack Sperlin says taking care of your potted plants first may be the easiest plan of action.
Well, first of all, let's talk about potted plants. If you got them out, then it's probably time to bring them in and get them covered.
For those that are planted in your garden, Sperlin says it's important to keep your soil moist should this cold front come in.
There's a lot of avenues, actually. One of the things that people don't know and may not know is that if we keep that soil moist where it's there, where the plant is, there's a good chance that it will it'll make it. Moist soil is a good insulator, as well as this heavy mulch.
Sperlin also shared a hack to keep tomatoes and other crops one may be growing safe from any frost.
We got a real good hack for tomatoes, and I'll show it to you real quick. We have these 5-gallon buckets. You have a few of them sitting around at your house probably, and these are a handy thing when it comes to this. So we got a cucumber here, actually not a tomato, but we're going to put that right over the top. Put a brick on that so that don't blow over. That holds it further down.
He adds, you can also drape any type of tarp or plastic over your buckets to keep the frost out as well.
Another way that we can cover up the plants too is if we have a type of tarp or just plastic. So you take them same 5-gallon buckets and just drape a piece of plastic over it so it kind of tents that up, and you should be all right from the frost that way too.
His biggest piece of advice for anyone looking to garden during this time is to wait just a few more weeks.
Don't plant before May 1st. May 1st is our last frost day in this area. This is just one of them zingers that inevitably comes up that they warn us about, and here it is.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
For anyone with small trees or bushes in their yard, Sperlin recommends covering them with plastic bags to protect them from the frost. Later in sports, two of the best baseball teams in Missouri face off on the diamond as Webb City takes on Willard. We'll have the highlights in sports.
Plus, colder temperatures working in as we speak. Also a little bit of snow. We're going to talk about that next. Turned out to be a great Monday for us today. In fact, one of the nicest days that we've seen in quite some time, with temperatures into lower 70s, plenty of sunshine. It wasn't that windy as well, and now it's going the other direction. Of course, we've had a cold front roll in, so if you haven't been outside lately, it's turning much colder. Great time lapse, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, zooming in, look at our highs this afternoon. We're going to stop at like 4:30. We have the front in our northern counties, but everybody mainly into the lower 70s during the afternoon. Watch that front slide through. It's now all the way down into northwestern Arkansas, so all this cooler air is working in. You can see 30s northern counties, and then most of us north of I-44 into the 40s. Then you have the 50s, but our temperatures are going to continue to tumble as we go through the overnight hours tonight. And we aren't alone. Look at all the cold air across the northern parts of the plains. It's not Arctic air, but it is Canadian polar air, which you never want to see this late in the season. Then you throw some moisture on top, you get a winter weather advisory in effect for tomorrow morning. This is mainly Fredonia, Neodesha, Parsons, Pittsburgh, Lamar, Lockwood, North. I still think everybody in the southern sector will have snow, but our northern counties had the best opportunity to get some slushy roads. Then right behind it, a freeze warning tomorrow night, a frost warning. So tomorrow night's probably the worst of the two nights, just because we're going to have such cold temperatures, and not just a freeze, it's going to be a hard freeze across the region. We look fine now, pretty much clear skies. Clouds increasing to our north, snow increasing out across northwestern Kansas, and it's that band that is going to head toward us later on tonight. Is this system. It's right out across parts of Nebraska, kind of rotates through, and of course we have the cold air in place. So let's go through time. 1:30 in the morning, we're fine. Clouds increase by morning. I think most of us 6, 7, even 8 o'clock are going to be dry. Then this band will start to work in. Most likely on the leading edge we'll have some rain, and then we'll quickly go over to a rain-snow mix and then snow. So let's go through the morning hours. Here's 9:30, all the way down to the I-44 corridor. Again, the leading edge, a little bit of snow, but bands of moderate to heavy snow will continue to work through. So here's 11:30. Let's go to about 2. Most of the snow is out of here, and then a little bit of sunshine by tomorrow evening. So mainly our snow window is 9 a.m. until noon. It's a short window, but it could really come down late morning. 33 by noon, high temp of only 41 degrees. And then our temperatures take a tumble tomorrow night, all the way down into the mid-20s. So we're going to have several hours that we are below freezing, which of course does cause issues with the trees budding and the plants. All right, I actually think we're going to get about 2 or 3 inches of snow. I just don't think 2 or 3 inches of snow is going to accumulate. I think it's going to melt on impact. If it comes down heavy enough, we may get an isolated 2 inches, but then it's going to melt real quick. So I'm going to say an inch or less for most of us, dusting to a ½ an inch in northeastern Oklahoma. And again, some of the roads could be a little slushy, but I'm not overly concerned about the snow, even though it's going to turn a little white for a few hours. More concerned about the hard freeze tomorrow night, down to 26, 54 Wednesday. Next week, a week from today, back to 80.
Wow.
All over
Quite
the
a
place.
bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with the plants. Obviously, we got some good tips in the last segment, but some of those, particularly larger trees.
Got to ride through it.
I guess. Thanks, Doug. Coming up in sports, it's rivalry night for Frontenac and Girard, plus 2 of the best teams in the state square off in Webb City. Jacob Leonard's up next with highlights.
Two of the best baseball teams in the state meet tonight in Webb City. The Cardinals host the Willard Tigers in COC play. Now Willard is the top-ranked team in the state in the Class 5 rankings released earlier today. Webb City is number 2. Bottom of the first inning, pitch gets away, allows Devin Weathers to head home. Webb City up 1. Then Matt Woodmansee with the fly ball to center. Pretty good effort out there, but the ball gets down. Shane Knoll able to walk home from third. Cards hold a 2-0 advantage through 4. To the top of the 5th now. Big inning for Willard. Elliott Friend goes back up the middle. 2 will score after it gets through. Tigers put up 5 in the inning. Bottom of the 7th, Webb City not out of it yet. Ball 4 here. Brings Weathers home. Webb City within 2. Then another pitch gets away. Tragan Parker will come home. Cards now within 1 with a man on third. Jared Miles ends the game on a nasty breaking ball. Willard hangs on to beat Webb City tonight 5-4.
We played good defense in those first 4 innings, played great defense, but that last inning, some things didn't go our way, and ball didn't bounce the way we wanted it to, and you know, it's unfortunate. We're having a hard time with some of those innings, you know, a couple of air here, hit batter there, walk there, and we just couldn't overcome it. Just couldn't overcome it today.
On the Kansas side, it is rivalry night for Frontenac and Girard baseball and softball. The Raiders are on the road this evening facing the Trojans in Girard. Starting with the softball game, 2 of the best in the area squaring off. Girard on a 6-game winning streak. Frontenac 6-2. About some defense here in the second. Sarah Goebel, sliding grab out there for Girard. Tries to double off the runner at first. She's back safely though. Game still scoreless. In the third, Frontenac gets on the board first. Annie Lee drills it out to center. Off the fence. Caitlin Hayslip all the way around from first. Raiders up 2 after 3. To the 5th, same score, Caitlin Hayslip. Clearly more talented than Dad. Big swing here. Coach Rooms, check it out, all jacked up. Solo shot for Hayslip gets the lead to 3. Now Girard gets one back in their half. Leah McGowan fights it off to the right side. Bailey Troike trots in. Trojans are on the board, but Frontenac gets that one back and more. Hattie Pyle out to right center. She gets the solo home run. Raiders roll by Girard in game 1, 8-1. In Game 2, Raiders try to get the big sweep over their CNC rivals. Bats stay rolling in this one. Frontenac gets the sweep with a 14-2 win in Game 2. The Girard baseball team is rolling to start the year. Through 9 games, the Trojans have lost just one, splitting a doubleheader with Colgan earlier this month. And Girard tries to stay hot with a doubleheader against the 4-2 Raiders. However, Game 1, they ran into this dude, Colin McCartney. McCartney throws a complete game, 102 pitches, strikes out 9 in the process. Frontenac cruises by Girard in Game 1, 6-1. Now in Game 2, Girard flips the script. They return the favor. Trojans make it a split, taking the nightcap 10-0. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Sergeant Roger Koch. The Carterville, Missouri native served in the U.S. Army during Operation Iraqi Freedom. And we are proud to salute Sergeant Roger Koch. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Looking like snow tonight and colder temperatures the next night.
Yeah, a little bit of rain and snow picking up by morning, and it could come down at a pretty good clip, but I would be really shocked if it turned really white out there because I really think most of this is going to melt on impact, but still, it's not good for the trees, not good for the plants because it's a heavy wet snow. So if it does accumulate a little bit, it will kind of weigh those trees down, those leaves down. And then we only go to 41, but tomorrow night, probably the worst night because we drop into the mid-20s, so a hard freeze across the region.
Thanks, Megan. We did have tips for protecting those plants. If you missed it, check it out online, KOAMnewsnow.com. Thanks for joining us. Be careful out there. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.